Seed.
It's Forecastle 2011. Kyle Meredith, RJD2. Hey,
Hello.
how you holding up so far?
My feet are killing me. Everything from the ankle up is doing fantastic.
You dancing around a lot up there. I mean, how many turntables actually do you work with on stage?
4 turntables. It's basically 2 DJ rigs side by side, and then I have 2 samplers that flank it on either side. So it's kind of like, it's almost exactly symmetrical.
Are you? Are there points where everything's going at once, or is it really just?
It varies, but what's a common experience is I'll kind of have like 3 turntables will be dedicated to a routine, so to speak, and then that 4th turntable will often start the next routine, so that'd be kind of a transitional thing. So it's, you kind of do like, imagine like you've got 4 and you go 3, 3, 3, 3, or like that. Right. And then sometimes one of the samplers will be used as a transitional.
How long did it take you to get used to that style? I mean, usually when you see somebody DJing, too, but you're.
I started doing it in 2004, and it was just out of necessity. I had these, it was the closest I could get to, the only real way to reproduce like this kind of sample-based music that is, in the past is a lot of what I've done would be to go out and have like 20 dudes with samplers, right. And that's not that realistic. So this is kind of the closest way that I can get to approximating that kind of thing. But it started in 2004.
Well, let's talk about those samples, especially to a person that knows nothing about it, totally interested in it. You have certain songs that are completely samples. Is that right? I mean, how does it? What's the process? Can you work us through the nutshell process of? Sure.
So to be just technically accurate, there are songs that a lot of what I've done is 100% sample based. A decent amount, some of what I've done has been completely live, or involving no samples whatsoever, and then there's a good amount of stuff that's hybridizations. It's that falls in between those two extremes of the paradigm. How the sample based stuff starts is really just from culling through as many records as you possibly can, looking for usable sample fodder, sounds, and I'll document stuff. I just use Post-it notes and I write stuff down. Even better is to actually just dump it into the machine and dissect it for later use. That's the method that I have been using for the last couple years, but sometimes I get lazy and I just write in Sharpie, this. And the advantage of the Sharpie thing is that there's also, just to take a slight detour here, with the Post-it Sharpie note, Post-it note Sharpie technique, the advantage is that there's a lot of times where I'll write down, there's usable ideas off of a record that it won't necessarily be sampled. So a lot of like the organic stuff that I've done that's like all playing instrumentation and stuff. A lot of times those songs, what'll happen is, so like you can hear a Stevie Wonder record and you'd be like, that's the most perfect thing I've ever heard in my life. Don't change a thing, okay? There's nothing. You can't listen to it and be like, oh, he could have done this better. But there's other music out there. There's a lot of recorded material that's been made, and it's common for me where occasionally what happened, I'll come across a record and there's a cool element of it, but I don't feel like it's either executed properly or fully written properly. A lot of times it'll be, the first 2 chords in the progression are great, and then it goes somewhere that I wouldn't, I would have gone somewhere else with it, or same with a groove or a vibe or something like that. And so I'll use those as ideas, basically, that'll spark. Basically what I'll do is I'll just say, okay, if I was writing this, I would have done it like this, and then that will basically end up being kind of like the A section of a song. And then from there, songs unfold very easily for me. The chorus and the bridge and the intro and the outro and all that type of stuff just seems to fall into place. But I don't work very well in a vacuum at all. I'm not one of these guys that's like, go sit at a piano with a pencil and a paper and make a song. Mm-hmm. It's just going to end up being referential of something else, like a favorite song or something like that. So this, as soon as I can get as soon as I have the tiny little spark of something to start on, then the process kind of, executes itself almost.
Well, so you're listening to a lot of different styles and a lot of different genres at this point. I mean,
I don't even pay attention to genre at this point.
Right.
Honestly, especially when you're doing this type of thing, whether it's that type of looking for inspirations or ideas, or you're actually looking for records to sample. The criteria that I'm looking at is things like, you know, the instrumentation, the year it was made, the label that it was put out, how many players, what's the caliber of players. These are the kind of things. I don't care what it is in terms of genre.
So how long is so an album start to finish? You decide like, all right, it's time to write an album. How long does it usually take now? I mean, because you're busy on top of this. You're doing other things. You're producing and everything. So.
Yeah. It always surprises me. It feels like this enormously painful, not painful is the way, but like labor intensive is the word that, you know, that's how it feels making an album. But I'd be surprised. I mean, I'd say anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months, somewhere in there.
Sure.
You know, and if it's something that's focused, like with the Colossus or the Third Hand, those records, I recorded a lot of material and then edited out a lot of material. And I didn't. It's actually rare that I go into things. What doesn't happen that often for me is that it's like I say, okay, I'm starting on a new album on Tuesday. Sit down, go in the studio. You're working on a new album. More so, what happens is I'll kind of just let it happen organically, and you know, I'll do some shows, then I'll go spend a day in the studio, you know, screwing around, and then I'll go back and do some more shows, and this back and forth type of thing. And then once I have 5 or 6 or 7 songs on tape, then it's like, oh, okay, then I'm okay. I guess I was making an album, but I don't like to think of it like that. You know, it's that task-oriented train of thought. It doesn't always take to me so well.
There's definitely no punch clock in the studio.
No. Yeah, I mean, to each his own. But for me, I feel like that would be a bad indicator.
Let's back up a little bit. You started out in hip hop, and you've made your way to where you are now. Was there the big light bulb thought? Was there sea change? What went on that made you decide, you know what, I could do instrumental albums instead of this, and that would be great too?
Yeah, it's gosh, it's a tough question to answer, because in a lot of ways I feel like from the beginning I was either making, you know, from my perspective, I was either making rap records, you know, like records with rappers on them, which I think is fair to classify as hip-hop music, and then I was making solo records. And a lot of times the solo records were basically just outlets for things that I couldn't get away with on a rap record. And so I don't really know how to I mean, it's like making rap records and being a hip-hop DJ, quote-unquote, informs everything that I do, but at the same time, it's also, you know, I have so much is this sounds like such garbage to say, like, so it's like philosophical horse shit, pardon my French, but it's like so much has influenced rap music. And you look at the DNA of hip hop music, it comes from so many different places, you know, funk and disco and soul and reggae and all these things that, you know it when you hear it, but still there's all these other influences and I feel like that when I'm making music, I feel like the same things apply. So it's hard for me to I mean, I guess instrumental hip hop is a fair way to classify it, but I
mean, it seems more complete. I hear something like "Let There Be Horns," and I can't imagine anybody actually rapping over that. I mean, that is such a, you know, complete song. So.
Well, thank you, appreciate that. The song and the song structure. See, that's the thing, is that I can't. That's a fair thing to say, and the bottom line is that songs like that would get turned down for years and years and years. They would get turned down by rappers for a reason, a very good reason, apparently. But I'm not gonna lie to you. Honestly, to me, that tension between a track being captivating and a rapper being captivating is always, it's interested the hell out of me. I look at MOP. MOP is one of my favorite rap groups of all time, and they are one of these groups that I feel like they've kind of maximized this thing of not like a sparse minimalism thing, but like a kitchen sink, like total and utter cacophony. Public Enemy is another good example of something where it's like it's just so much going on, and it's almost like from a rap. If you're an MC, and I only know this because rappers have told me this, they'll be like, you have to fight to have your space in the song, because the instrumental is there's so much, it's so aggressive and it's so captivating. So that's sort of the way that I've gone about making, you know, the instrumentation or instrumentals or and a lot of things that end up being on my albums. But honestly, you know, I trust your opinion, but I also feel like why isn't there a rapper that's out there that could find a lane on a track like that? I don't know.
Well, I'm definitely no expert. I think it's more so that I mean the track, like I said, seems complete to me because it is so huge. I mean, because the parts themselves are so.
Maybe it's an arrangement thing. Yeah. You know. I think what I'm guessing is what you're probably responding to is that the song is crafted like it's arranged like a, you know, it's arranged in a manner that people don't make rap music. Right. You know, it's got you know, different sections, and all those sections are crafted and contoured, and there's intros and outros, and there's things that foreshadow other parts, and and that's the honestly, I feel like if there's one thing that I can safely say, all modesty aside, I do feel like that's my strong suit, and I feel like it's something that I can do that not a lot of people can do is the arrangement of a song, not just that, you know, there's the guys that you know, like the Manny Freshes of the world, they can do a thing with an 808 that I can't, you know, but it's just a loop. It's just a beat. And that's amazing, and it's awesome, and I've tried for many years to do that, and I can't. You know, they have a thing, or the Neptunes, or you know, there's a lot of people that can do that type of thing. So it's actually, honestly, this style has kind of come about, it's kind of developed as a way to almost hide my weaknesses, and isn't the right way to put it, but it did develop out of a thing of sort of a you know, from my perspective, sort of like a compensating for what I thought of was an inferiority, in the sense that, you know, when I first started producing, it was really hard to make. I mean, to make some. I mean, you go back to '97 or '98 or '99 or something like that, and look at any what DJ Premier was doing at the time, or and I couldn't do that. You know what I mean? Just having that sense of urgency in a beat, it was just I couldn't do it. So the way to compensate was to take a bunch of, you know, put a bunch of stuff into the song so it didn't, you know what I mean? So it's kind of maximize the arrangement type of thing.
You've done something great. Klaus has been one of my favorites the past year. So, I mean, whatever the weakness is, you just, you know, hopefully you stay bad at it. So,
thank you.
All right. Well, thanks so much, and hopefully we'll see you back in Louisville again soon. All right. All right. Cool. You got
Weekly feed.